Hey everyone, Stingler here from Stick Games. Welcome to part 4 of my RTS Godot Game Jam game. So just to catch us up on where we're at, the game itself works pretty good at the moment. I can build buildings, I can populate buildings, I will get attacked. It's a full game loop, and in this video what I need to do is make it feel nicer to play. It kind of works as it stands, but it just needs a lot of polish. Unfortunately, it is Wednesday, and the game jam actually ends on Sunday afternoon, which basically means I've got about 3 nights to try and get this all sorted out. I've got lots of tasks to do, and I don't think I'm going to get it all sorted. Well, I'm not going to get it all sorted. Once again, I've overscoped, even though I've got a month to actually create this game. It's quite crazy. But we shall see how we get on and see how much polish we can actually get into the game. Okay, I've made some nice progress here. First thing to show you is I have randomized the tree shapes, sizes, colours, stuff like that. That's kind of nice. I've also made it so that when a player is attacked, there's these little blood splats. That's kind of cool. And on top of that, I've also made it so that there's a healing effect now, these sort of little pluses that appear. So yeah, kind of nice. I've done some work refactoring how the barracks works. So now you have an upgrade option for the barracks, for starters, and when you have a unit in the barracks, you can only upgrade, so you can only train units to the level of the barracks. Now I need to seriously improve the messaging here. You've got no idea what you can and can't do, but it's pretty obvious. You can't train these 2 units. You can, however, train the warrior unit, and that actually now costs money to do that as well. If you want to upgrade the barracks, you can do that, and that will trigger this sort of upgrade process whereby you get additional hit points. The builder will go and upgrade it for you, and then once that is done, additional units become available to you. I think this is now attempt 6 to record this video. My computer is doing something incredibly strange. It just refuses to save video every time. Very frustrating. Anyway, this is my shiny new title screen. I think that's kind of nice. I've given my game a name, which is Relentless Onslaught, which I think is kind of fitting. I now have a new resource in the game in the form of these rocks, and I've added a mine that will produce stone if there are rocks available within its circle of influence. Other changes made. In the barracks, there is now a cost to actually upgrade it, and you can also see the cost to train the units within the barracks too. It's now Friday night and 1 o'clock in the morning. I've spent basically the entire evening adding in an introduction and a bit of a story to the game. So now when you click on play, you get the intro with voiceover acting.
In the Second Age, the lands of Soteria were lush and bountiful. The people lived there in peace and happiness. Then came the scourge from the east. A darkness enveloped them. An evil which respected no boundaries descended upon Soteria, recklessly killing its people and destroying its land. In desperation, the people of Soteria fled west into the sunless tundras. There they tried to rebuild their lives, but the evil was not far behind.
And then it goes straight into the game. Quite like that. I think that's pretty cool. It's now Saturday night, and this is the last chance I'm going to have to work on the game, so it's crunch night. I have spent the last few hours putting some sound effects and music into the game, and to do that I have used the Godot Sound Manager by Nathan Hode. This is a brilliant little plugin that allows you to just play music, play sounds. It's really straightforward and easy to use, and I'll show you how I've done that. Okay, so the way that I like to use this Sound Manager is to preload all of the music and preload all of the sound effects that I want in the game. Now you can see here I've got some sort of one-off sound effects, heal, construction, coins, and I've got one-off music. That's really straightforward. I've also got a bunch of different attack sounds here, and different blood sounds and different rock sounds. And then what I've got is I've got a method that returns a random selection from those lists. So then this SFX file is set as a global singleton, and what that means is that in the actual place that I'm playing the sounds here, for example, you can see that I'm calling sound manager play sound, and then I'm basically choosing the SFX attack, which is going to pick one of the random sounds, and it's going to play that whenever this method is actually called from the unit. And it's literally that simple. So there's a heal sound there, and I've got a blood sound selection down here, and yeah, it just works really, really nicely. The other place I use it is for playing background music and background sounds. So you can see here I'm playing music. There's my game music resource being played there, and then I've also got this background waves sound going on, and I've set that on the ambient bus. So I've got a bunch of different buses set up. I have my voiceover, my sound effects, music and ambient buses, and basically that means that I can control the levels of each of the sounds and the sound types, so that I can get a decent balance in the game. The other thing I've done is I've kind of got a bit fed up of my units just walking straight into buildings, and so what I now have is a node that I've attached to the unit kinematic body 2D called steering, and this steering node has a script attached to it. This script is basically casting out rays in all directions, and it is calculating the danger, if you like, and the interest of each of the rays. There's some really great tutorials on how this works, and to be honest, I can't remember exactly how I did it. The reason why I can't remember, and the reason why I've got so much code, is because I've basically lifted it from a different game prototype that I created previously, which had a bunch of chickens that sort of ran in all different directions. What it effectively does is it works out which direction is the most interesting direction for the unit. It also works out what it could bump into in that direction, that's the danger things, and then effectively it multiplies them all up, and that calculates your chosen direction, which, in order to make this as universally available as possible, I now have a little function here that just returns that chosen direction, which means that I can now just take this little steering node and just copy and paste it into different game projects, which is really nice. So in game, you can now hear the music going on. I have my intro playing.
In the Second Age, the lands of Soteria were lush and bountiful.
Sounds kind of cool. And then in game itself, now what happens is, if my units are one side of a building, they will sort of swerve around it a bit better. I wouldn't say it's perfect. It certainly feels a bit more natural though, because when they're actually doing stuff, they don't seem to get caught on things quite as often. The next challenge is trying to balance the game to make it a little bit more interesting. I've added in the night enemies into the game, and yeah, that's made things quite a lot harder. so I'm just trying to work out the balance now of the enemy spawns, and I think once I've got that sorted out, that should actually be me done. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Well, I've just played my game up until day 266, and I can confirm that it gets harder. It all works really, really well up until the point that basically if you lose concentration for even a moment, and you let your clerics wander off or do something stupid, you die, and there's no real coming back from it. It's a case of you basically then just got to hope that the AI is too stupid to attack your town hall, which, I mean, it is, but sadly not forever. So you can't. If you lose your barracks, you're basically stuffed. Yeah. So I mean, okay. Well, it's a game. It works. It's very hard as you're getting closer to the year mark, and that is deliberate. So I guess that's a win. I think realistically, I need more variety in my buildings and also my units, because it gets a bit boring. You just basically train knights. As soon as you can get knights, you just train knights constantly because they're the strongest units, and the warriors just get wiped out really quickly. I was going to put enemy clerics into the game, but actually I think that would just make it ridiculously unbalanced in favour of the enemy, so I think I'm not going to do that. Yeah, it's pretty good. So on the final day I made a few changes to the game, a couple of little tweaks, a bit of quality of life improvements, just things like there's now a time till the next wave counter, and I created the itch.io page and submitted it to the Winter Jam. So it's now available for you to have a look at. I'll put the link in the description below, and with that I'll give you a quick demo of the game. I'd just like to say thank you for watching the video. If you have been enjoying the series, please drop a comment, give me a like, and think about subscribing to the channel. I've got a bunch of new videos coming up that I've got planned, and as of today, as of the time of recording, it's now the 1st of March. The latest version of Godot has just been released, Godot 4.0, and I'm really looking forward to making some content around that. So yeah, subscribe to the channel to check that out. Thanks again, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.